excited to make my focaccia for you and with you. This is a great starter recipe if you're just getting into bread making. It's practically foolproof. It takes just a few ingredients and you are rewarded with amazing focaccia. We are going to use some flour today, all-purpose standard flour. We have some extra virgin olive oil, some warm water, about 100, 110 degrees, some salt, and today we're going to use some rapid rise yeast. Now, you've seen the rapid rise and you've probably seen the active dry. This one you need to open and put into water, stir it up and let it get foamy before you can use it. This one that we're using today, you just open up and pop into your flour and it is good to go. We are also going to garnish at the end with some rosemary before we bake our focaccia, a little salt, and some olive oil. So that's it. Let's get started. All right. I'm going to add about 3½ cups of flour to my bowl. Let's go 3. And I'm just using the scoop and shake method. And my little 1/3 cup, all right? And let's go about 1/3 there. Easy, right? You still with me? We are going to put in our yeast. And I'm going to try to leave this video as unedited as possible. Maybe just a few close-ups of the flour. But we're going to continually shape this, save the edits for, the proofing and whatnot. Start to finish, this does take about 1.5 hours. And that includes proofing time. This video is not going to be that long, but I want you to see the dough coming together in real time. So I have some yeast. I have about a tablespoon of salt, and I'm going to add in about a 1 1/3 cup of water. All right, I'm also going to add in about a 1/4 cup of olive oil. And I'm going to use the end of my spoon to stir this up. And it's sort of mimicking a dough hook. Now, if you have a stand mixer, you can absolutely add all of these ingredients at one time into your stand mixer. Set it on, low to get the ingredients incorporated, and go to medium, and let it knead for about 5 to 6 minutes, right? But maybe you don't have a mixer, because I'm here to help you build kitchen confidence. I want you to see this without any fancy equipment, just sort of as is. So I've gotten a loose little shaggy dough here, and I am going to just start kneading it. Now what I'm going to do is actually open up my flour and just keep a little here extra to sort of add in. I might have put a little too much oil in my dough. No, actually it feels okay. Oh, still a little sticky, so we're going to add a little bit more dough. There we go. Add in more dough, add in more flour. A little more flour. Flinging dough all over the place. So now I'm going to take some flour, flour up my surface, and we're going to knead our dough. If the dough feels too wet, just add in a little bit more flour.
just knead and knead and knead. Continue to add more flour if necessary. And continue to knead. The dough is finally starting to get nice and supple and soft. I'm used to going live and not quite used to pre-filming my videos, so please bear with me when I'm a little quiet. If you have a dough scraper, absolutely grab a dough scraper to help lift the dough off the counter. If not, it is perfectly okay.
All right, my dough still feels a little tacky, so I'm adding a little bit more flour. You want a nice, soft, supple dough. You don't want it to be sticky or tacky. Table keeps sliding away from me.
We are developing the gluten in the bread by kneading. This is going to give us a nice light, airy bread and beautiful focaccia.
So you'd like to push your dough away from you and then bring it back towards you. Push away and then bring back. We need a little bit more flour here. Get these pieces up. All right, and you'll know your dough is ready when it's nice and soft. And if you poke a hole with it, it springs right back, right? Little dimple, springs right back. So this dough is ready to go into a bowl and sit for about 45 minutes to an hour. We want this to proof. It's gonna double in size. You wanna wrap it with plastic in your bowl, keep it a nice warm part of the kitchen, all right? All right, so I've got my bowl here. I have, oops, little crooked table here, some extra virgin olive oil. And I'm going to pop in my dough and coat it with the olive oil. All right, beautiful dough. Thought I had a towel behind my back. A little plastic wrap. Now I'm gonna need 2 pieces. All right, nice and tight. We don't want the air to get in here. And now we're going to set this in a warm place to sit for about an hour or so. You could use your oven. I use my oven as a proof box. I just turn on the light, and that provides exactly the amount of warmth that I need to proof my dough. If you don't have space in your oven and you have something else going on, that's okay. Just a nice warm part of the kitchen, maybe on the fridge, near the stove. You'll find a place that works for you. All right? we're back. Our dough is proofed up. It is twice the size that it was going into the oven. And again, I just popped this in the oven with the light on just to create enough warmth to proof my dough up. So now I'm going to shape it and put it in my pan. You don't have to use a little rectangular pan like this. You could absolutely use a round cake pan or a 9x13 pan, whatever you have on hand. I just happen to have this little sheet pan handy. All right, so I'm going to squeeze, be generous with the olive oil. All right, beautiful dough, soft, pliable. I want to get this coated in olive oil. So I'm going to flip it and then flip it back. Now I just want to shape it. Move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. All right. I love this focaccia recipe. It's rustic, it's easy. You could, be really careful with this dough and make it perfectly sit in the pan. But I like mine to have just some texture to it. All right, so now it is generously oiled. I'm gonna go ahead and use the same plastic wrap that I had earlier, and I'm gonna let it sit for about 25 more minutes. Once it's done sitting, we are going to go ahead and use our fingers and make those little divots, those little holes that are synonymous with focaccia. We're gonna use some rosemary that I just picked from the garden. You can buy it at a local market. You don't have to use rosemary at all, just some nice salt. We're gonna use salt water with olive oil in those little divots. Bake it up, it's gonna be crunchy and amazing. So I'm so excited. Let's let this sit for about 25 more minutes.
Nice, cold, wet day. Perfect for homemade focaccia.
Hey, we're back. It's been about 25 minutes. Our dough has filled the edges of our pan. I don't know if you can see that. Got this greasy piece of plastic. I'm just gonna set off to the side. I have some hot water here. Why hot? Well, I want to dissolve the salt into this water, and that's what I'm gonna use to season the top of my focaccia. You could just sprinkle large pieces of salt like Maldon sea salt or kosher salt over the top, but I don't want to bite into pieces of salt. So I'm just gonna use my fingers and I'm gonna make these little dimples in the pan or in the bread, and then I'm just gonna sprinkle this water on top of the dough. I've got my oven set to 200 degrees Celsius, so about 425 Fahrenheit. I'm gonna put my bread in there for about 40 minutes and it's gonna cook. Then we'll pull it out and see how we've come along. All right, so I'm just gonna taste this water. This is just for my family. Ooh, it's nice and salty. I think I want a little bit more salt. All right, I'm not giving this to anybody, so I don't mind licking my finger. This is private bread, private focaccia. All right, so I'm gonna take my two fingers and I'm just going to dimple the bread. All right, it's gonna create these little pockets. It's gonna soak in that salt water, add really nice flavor to our bread. Give our focaccia that unique, focaccia look. Kind of went crazy there on my fingers. All right, doing good. This dough smells so good. It smells like olive oil and just dough. Delicious. Doesn't have to be perfect. A couple little bits there. Okay, so I'm just gonna use my spoon. I'm gonna mix in a little olive oil into this as well. Again, this is just the way I do it. Oh yes, this looks so good. All right, so I've got all these little crevices, these little holes filled with my salt water, some olive oil. It's gonna help, it's gonna give a lot of flavor to this dough, but this dough is gonna rise up in the oven. Now before I forget, I also wanna put in some rosemary, which is very typical of traditional focaccia. I forgot what we were making for a second. All right, so I'm just gonna sprinkle in some of this rosemary. Again, just pulled off of the stem. All right, you can chop this up if you want a little finer. You can omit it entirely if you don't have it. That's okay. I just happen to have a big bush out in the garden, so why not? All right, I'm making big messes over here because that's what I do. So beautiful focaccia. We're gonna pop this in the oven. Should take about 40 minutes to cook. We'll pull it out, slice into it, and give it a nice taste. All right. Our focaccia is done. Crusty, cooked all the way through. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. It smells so good. I can't wait to cut into it and give it a try. Oh my goodness. It is hot out of the oven. It is perfect, crunchy. Give this a taste. Oh my gosh. It tastes like olive oil. It is soft and chewy on the inside and crispy on the outside. Perfect amount of saltiness. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for watching me make my focaccia. I hope you make it too. Let me know if you try it. I love this. It's a great recipe. So easy. Let me know what you think. All right, check us out on Facebook. We're still going live about 1 day a week. And we're posting more videos here on YouTube. So subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye.